Hello, fifth grade, and welcome to lesson 2-5. This lesson is titled Using Strategies to Subtract Decimals. So we focused on strategies to add decimals. Now we're going to look at different ways to help us subtract. Let's go ahead and take a look at our short video lesson and then hop into our notes and our guided practice.
How can you subtract decimals? What is the difference in the wingspans of the two butterflies?
Now remember, when we're talking about difference, we want to find the answer to a subtraction problem. So we want to subtract one from the other. And usually what we're going to do is we're going to start with our large number and subtract the smaller number from that.
The larger butterfly has a wingspan of 5 92/100 centimeters. The smaller butterfly has a wingspan of 4 37/100 centimeters. This section of the bar diagram shows the difference in the wingspans. Think about how differences in decimal numbers are represented. Estimate before you find the exact answer. What number does 5 92/100 round to?
Select your answer.
So 5 92/100 is very close to 6. So if you're thinking, an easy way to think about it is you think about it like money. $5.92 is almost $6, or 5 92/100 is almost 6 whole.
5 92/100 rounds to 6, and 4 37/100 rounds to 4. 6 minus 4 equals 2. The difference in the wingspans is about 2 centimeters. Find the difference. You can use a number line to subtract using partial differences. Start at 5 92/100 and subtract 4 ones. Then subtract 3/10. Then subtract 7/100. 5 92/100 minus 4 37/100 equals 1 55/100. The difference in the wingspans is 1 55/100 centimeters.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our notes and guided practice. That was a super short video, and we're going to have some pretty quick notes to go with it. So our focus question here, our essential question for the lesson is, how can you subtract decimals? So you can either stack and subtract using regrouping, you can stack and subtract using partial differences, or you can also use a number line. Let's take a look at our first example. Mrs. Garcia is an electrician and has a length of wire that is 32 7/10 of a meter long. She has another length of wire that is 15 33/100 of a meter long. How much longer is one wire than the other? So I know the first wire is 32 7/10 of a meter long. The second one is 15 33/100 of a meter long, and I need to find the difference, which means I need to subtract. Now, one way you can do it is the basic way, the standard way, which is stacking and regrouping. 32 7/10. I'm going to put a 0 placeholder there. And then do 15 33/100. So I can't do 0 minus 3, so that becomes a 10, and I borrowed from the 7, so the 7 becomes a 6. Now 10 minus 3 is 7, 6 minus 3 is 3. I drop my decimal point right into the same position. I can't do 2 minus 5, so that 2 is going to become a 12. I'm going to borrow a group from the 3, so that 3 will become a 2. 12 minus 5 is 7, and then 2 minus 1 is 1. So the difference here is 17 37/100. Now, another way I could do it is with partial differences. So I could do the 32 7/10, take away 15. So I'll take away the whole number part first out of the 15 33/100. So 32 7/10 minus 15 is 17 7/10. 17 7/10 minus 3/10. So that's the first 3 right here that we're seeing in the number, is 17 4/10. 17 4/10 minus 3/100. I'm going to have to put a 0 placeholder after that 4, so it's going to be 17 40/100. I can't do 0 take away 3, so that 0 becomes a 10, and I borrowed a group from the 4, so the 4 becomes a 3. 10 take away 3 is 7, and then 3 take away 0 is 3. Drop that decimal point. 7 take away 0 is 7, and 1 take away nothing is still 1. So our final answer here, just like it was before, is 17 and 37 hundredths. Now, if I wanted to work a number line, I'm going to do the same thing that we saw in the video. I'm going to start at 32 and 7/10. I'm going to subtract 15, my whole number part, which would get me to 17 and 7/10. I'm going to subtract from that 3/10. That would get me to 17 and 4/10. And subtract 3 hundredths from that, and that got me to 17 and 37 hundredths. The difference between the lengths of wire is 17 and 37 hundredths of a meter. Let's take a look at another example. Jonah bought 1.5 liter bottle of seltzer. He used 0.8 or 8/10 of a liter of seltzer in some of his punch. Which is greater, the amount that he has left or the amount that he used? So over here, we have a hidden question that we need to think about. We need to figure out, well, how much does he have left? Because the question doesn't tell us that. Now, in order to find out how much he has left, I have to do the 1 5/10 liter minus the 8/10 of a liter that he used. So I know he bought 1.5 liters and he used 8/10 of a liter. So here I stack and subtract. 5 take away 8, I can't do that, so that becomes 15 because I borrowed from the 1. 15 take away 8 is 7, and then there's nothing left in the 1's place. The difference is 7/10 of a liter that he has left over. Now the question is asking us, which is greater, the amount that he used or the amount that he had left over? So we know that he had 7/10 left over and he used 8/10. Now 7/10 is less than 8/10, so the amount that he used is greater than the amount that he had left over. Let's take a look at another example before we jump into our guided practice. So we're going to find the difference of the following. Now here I have 23 and 6/10 minus 8 and 27 hundredths. Now since there's nothing here in the hundredths place, I put a 0 as a placeholder. Now I can't do 0 minus 7, so I borrowed. So the 0 became a 10, and the 6 that I borrowed from became a 5. 10 minus 7 is 3. 5 minus 2 is 3. I dropped my decimal point. I couldn't do 3 minus 8, so I borrowed from the 2. So the 3 became a 13, and that 2 became a 1. 13 take away 8 gave me 5, and then 1 take away nothing was 1. So the difference was 15 and 33 hundredths. My next example is 21 and 37 hundredths minus 10 and 95 hundredths. So again, stacking in place value order, lining up those decimal points. 7 minus 5 is 2. I couldn't do 3 minus 9, so that became a 13 because I borrowed from the 1. That 1 became a 0. 13 minus 9 gave me 4. 0 minus 0 was 0, and then 2 minus 1 was 1, leaving me with 10 and 42 hundredths, or $10.42. My last example was 65 and 90 hundredths minus 28 and 38 hundredths. Again, stacking and subtracting, regrouping and carrying over. We got an answer of 37 and 52 hundredths. All right, let's take a look at our guided practice. Our first question says, how can you use addition to check that 1 55 hundredths of a centimeter is the difference in the wingspan of the two butterflies that we talked about earlier in the video? So by using addition, you can add the 1 55 hundredths to the 4 37 hundredths to see if that will get you back to your original larger butterfly's wingspan, which was 5 92 hundredths. Now, since addition and subtraction are inverse operations, they're opposites, we can use them to check each other to see if we get back to our original numbers. Number 2 says Maria rewrote 45 and 59 hundredths minus 7 and 9/10 as 45 and 59 hundredths minus 7 and 90 hundredths. Did she change the value by placing a 0 after the 7.9? Why or why not? So we know that she did not change the value because the 0 is a placeholder and it shows that there's 0 in the hundredths place. So the value of the 7, it still shows that we have 7 ones and 9/10, and the 0 has no value. All right, next let's take a look at numbers 3 through 10. Now here we're going to stack and subtract. Remember, stack by place value order. Line up those decimal points. 16 and 82 hundredths minus 5 and 21 hundredths. 2 take away 1 is 1. 8 take away 2 is 6. Drop that decimal point. 6 minus 5 is 1, and 1 minus nothing is also 1. So we end up with a difference of 11 and 61 hundredths. So for numbers 3 and 4, you can see that there's no regrouping that we needed to do. It was just straight subtraction, no borrowing. 1 minus nothing is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. Drop that decimal point. 7 take away 6 is also 1. So the difference of 7 and 21 hundredths and 6 tenths is 1 and 11 hundredths. Now for number 5, we had a little bit more extensive regrouping that we had to do. So we had 23 and 6 hundredths, take away 8 and 24 hundredths. 6 take away 4 was 2. Now we couldn't do 0 take away 2, so we had to borrow from that 3. So that 0 became a 10 and the 3 became a 2. 10 take away 2 gave us 8. We dropped that decimal point. Now I couldn't do 2 take away 8, so I had to borrow again. So that 2 became a 12, and I borrowed from the 2 that was next to it, and that became a 1. Now 12 take away 8 gave me 4, and then 1 take away nothing left me with that 1, for a total difference of 14 and 82 hundredths. Next we had 4 and 8 hundredths minus 2 and 12 hundredths. So 8 take away 2 is 6. I couldn't do the 0 take away 1, so that became a 10, and I borrowed from the 4, and my 4 became a 3. 10 take away 1 was 9. I dropped my decimal point. And then 3 take away 2 was also 1, leaving me with a difference of 1 and 96 hundredths. Now for number 7, we had 56 and 8 tenths minus 2 and 76 hundredths. Now there was nothing here in the hundredths place for my 56 and 8 tenths, so I added a 0 placeholder. Now 0 take away 6, I couldn't do that, so I had to borrow. My 0 became a 10, and I borrowed from that 8, so my 8 became a 7. Now 10 take away 6 was 4. 7 take away 7 was 0. Drop that decimal point. 6 take away 2 is 4, and 5 take away nothing was 5. So after subtracting 56 and 80 hundredths minus 2 and 76 hundredths, that left me with a difference of 54 and 4 hundredths. Now for number 8, our numbers are 43 and 80 hundredths, and $43.80, take away $16. So I lined up by place value order, and in my hundredths place are zeros, so 0 take away 0 is 0, then 8 take away 0 is still 8. Drop that decimal point into its spot. Now I couldn't do 3 take away 6, so I had to borrow from the 4, so my 3 became a 13, and my 4 became a 3. 13 take away 6 left me with 7, and then 3 take away 1 was 2. So that left me with a difference of 27 and 80 hundredths, or you could say 27 and 8 tenths. For number 9, we had 22 and 4 hundredths, take away 10 and 7, 22 and 4 tenths, take away 10 and 7 tenths. I couldn't do the 4 take away 7, so that became a 14, and I borrowed from the 2, so my 2 became a 1. 14 take away 7 was 7. Drop that decimal point. 1 take away 0 was 1, and then 2 take away 1 was also 1, leaving me with a difference of 11 and 7 tenths. And for my last question, number 10, I had 36 and 40 hundredths, take away 21 and 16 hundredths. I couldn't do the 0 take away 6, so I borrowed from the 4. So my 0 became a 10, and my 4 became a 3. 10 take away 6 is 4. 3 take away 1 was 2. I dropped my decimal point. Then 6 take away 1 is 5, and 3 take away 2 is 1, leaving me with a difference of $15.24, or 15 and 24 hundredths. All right, that takes us to the end of this lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.